Hello everyone, this is Ashish. Welcome back to Momentum Podcast. Today we are going to have a solo one. I'm going to be discussing about sleep in detail. Now I wanted to dedicate a full podcast only on sleep because students in general don't really understand the necessity of it. I'm going to talk about this topic in a very technical manner. I'm going to be discussing the sleep cycle, the circadian rhythm, what is the need of sleep, different phases of sleep, all those things in a very scientific manner so that you understand why you need to do what you need to do. It's not like only do this, go ahead, do this. You won't be able to continue for a long duration. Now, I should give a quick disclaimer. Obviously, I'm not a health professional. I'm not even a doctor, not even in a way like PhD in mechanical engineer doctor, nothing. I'm an engineer. But the reason why I wanted to dedicate this topic today, a whole podcast to this topic, is because I've been a student my entire life, and to a huge extent, I'm still a student. And in a student's life, sleep is very rarely given the importance that it deserves. And at least to my subscribers and my followers, I would like to share whatever I know. And to be completely honest, it would be kind of not fair if I don't share my experience over here, because I literally have experience with every kind of sleep cycle that you can think about. You can think about of polycyclic 2 hour sleeps, I've done it. 4 hour sleeps, done it. 3 hour sleeps, done it. 6 hours, done it. 7 hours, done it. 8 hours, done it. 10 hours, done it. I've tried everything. No sleep throughout the night, I've done it. No sleep for 2 nights, I've done all of that. And after that, I've realized that these are the advantages and these are the disadvantages, and why you should follow certain things, how different people are different bodies are different people need different amount of sleep. You need different amount of sleep on different days. So it is completely vague field, and that is why a 10-minute video will never do the sufficient job. So if you really want to learn, you should pay attention, listen to it, go to work, do workout, go for a walk, whatever it is, sit back down and just have a good time. But or listen to it in parts, but you should, according to me, listen to the full thing. I myself was going through one of the old videos that I made. It was on power naps, and over there also I've talked about different phases of sleep. First of all, I felt horrible watching my old video. That is a thing. I never have the guts to watch my old video, and that is why I personally can never suggest you to go and watch a video that I made 1.5 years back. But anyways, I'm going to be discussing that over here as well. Okay. All right. So let us begin one by one and discuss about why sleep is so important. So before we go ahead, let us just bring a simple analogy. And let us start with a question. So, if I ask you a question that where do you think bodybuilders build their muscles? What are you going to answer it with? So, if you don't really have a pre-prepared answer for it, or you have not ever heard this question before, then I can say it by experience because I've asked this in a lot of live sessions as well. You're going to say that bodybuilders build their muscles in gyms, which is not actually correct. They don't build their muscles in gym, they break their muscles in gym. They build their muscles when they come back home, eat good amount of food, high protein food, and then go to sleep. And that's where the building happens, on their bed, not in the gym. In a similar manner, sleep has that role when it comes to anything that you have learned as well. You have given yourself some information, let us say in your class, or you were reading a book. It settles down and properly saturates in your brain only when you sleep. And that is why it is extremely essential to sleep. Now, people throw big quotes and big words around. I'll sleep when I'm dead. 4 hours of sleep is sufficient. I've done that listening to those people. And personally, I did not find any gain out of it, only losses. And trust me when I say this, I've talked about this before. Like, some of the people are suggesting people to go and sleep only for 4 hours and you're saving this much amount of time. One of my reels actually got extremely viral, close to like 2 million views on that. But it is the truth. I made another video long time back, more than 1 year back, And some of the students came to me and told me that I listened to this particular person, I started to sleep only for 4 hours or less than that, and I got into insomnia. I had to go to a doctor to treat myself out of it. So it is not something that should be casually thrown around, and that's why I'm not making a 10-minute video to get your clicks. If you want to learn, listen to me for around an hour and understand everything. Sleep is probably one of the most important thing when related to your learning, your growth, and your health itself. When you grow old, like 50 years old, 60 years old, nothing is going to matter more than your health. And a lot of you guys, unfortunately, are jeopardizing your health in your early life itself. So we have to talk about it and talk about it seriously. So what we are going to do is first realize the importance of sleep. And I can do that by giving you a very simple example. Now, at least for the graduates, I can say that at some point or the other, you have pulled out an all-nighter. It's very obvious because you guys give semester examinations, and that's the kind of the way semester examinations work. You stay awake all night, one night before the semester examination, use a lot of coffee or maybe tea, study all night, write your examination down without any sleep, and then after the examination, maybe you're going to go to sleep. Now, the surprising part about that, and something that you might not have noticed so far, is how quickly you forget about everything that you studied throughout that night that you did not sleep. Now, a lot of times it has happened to me. Like, I've written an examination by staying awake all night, and 1 week later, the professor shows my answer sheet. I look at my answer sheet and I say that, did I write that? I can't even believe that I've written that, because I've forgotten everything that I've written on that day of the examination. The reason behind that is pretty obvious. You did not give your mind time or rest for everything that you have studied throughout the night to settle down in your brain. So all that information, first of all, it was too much information to settle down in your brain. Second of all, you did not even give yourself the proper amount of rest. And because of that, you did not learn anything. It was momentarily over there. So it was a rote process that obviously does not last for a long duration of time. So this is what happens every night if you are trying to compromise with your sleep. And we do it all the time. Everyone is a culprit. Everyone is a victim of compromising with sleep at some point of their life or the other. Some people do it on a daily basis. And that is why later in their life, a lot of people have problems falling asleep. And you are never going to find this amongst people. This only I can say by experience of the limited handful sample of people that I was able to talk to, that people who never compromise with their sleep don't really have problem falling asleep. But those people who do, a lot of them have problem falling asleep. So that is another level of problem. That, okay, now you don't want to sleep so that you work harder, and after some time you can't really sleep that well. And we are going to talk about the topic of quality of sleep as well. So even if you have slept for, let us say, 7 hours, 8 hours at night, it does not really mean that it is of the optimum quality. A lot of things like coffee and all will cause you to have not that sound sleep. Even improper timing of workout or improper timing of food or dinner will cause you to not have that sound sleep. So first of all, you need to have good quality and you need to have good quantity, both. Some people think that I'm going to sleep for only 4 hours, but it's going to be outstanding in quality. All right. So that does not really work. Now, I really recommend each and every one of you to go through this one podcast called Andrew Huberman's podcast. I think it is called Huberman Lab Podcast. Now, Andrew Huberman is a PhD and right now a professor of neurobiology in Stanford. So he runs his own podcast. I'm going to link it down in the description box. So that person talks about it in the most scientific manner possible. What I'm doing or what I'm trying to do right now is just a student's perspective. That is something that I want my subscribers and followers to be knowing about. So these are the things that you should be very aware of. But still, in a nutshell, I'm going to be discussing all those things over here. Now, we can't really talk about anything until and unless we talk about sleep cycle. Now, sleep cycle is basically one cycle of sleep. Now, a body does not sleep for only one cycle throughout the night. So, one cycle of sleep consists of 4 different phases, and completing this one cycle generally takes a duration of 1.5 hours, that is 90 minutes. So, what happens is that you get from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3 to phase 4 in 1.5 hour, and then you directly get into phase 1, in phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Then that again is 1.5 hour, approximately. Differs from people to person, and also differs from one day to another day how much tired you are. So in the simplest way, I can say that in 3 hours you have completed 2 sleep cycles, and 4 plus 4, 8 phases. So first 4 and the second 4 phases are exactly the same. So let's talk about this one cycle, which is going to be of 90 minutes and the 4 different phases. So we are just going to call it phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. So phase 1 plus phase 2 generally comprise of close to 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. And this is a phase where you don't go to the REM sleep and paralysis. Now, what is REM sleep and what is this physical paralysis that we go across? I'm going to talk about in the third and the fourth phase. But let us talk about what does your brain and your body do in the first 2 phases, in these first 2 phases. So in the first 30 minutes, what basically happens, the first phase is almost like you won't even know that you're falling asleep. You're going to have decent amount of consciousness. But in the second phase, you are going to start to drip into the sleep mode where you're losing your consciousness. The first phase does not really do anything about recovery or your memory, but the second phase starts working on your memory. You are going to start settling information down into your deep memory, and you are going to start to grasp information. Other than that, it is not that deep of a sleep, and it happens only for the first 1/3 of the cycle, right? But these 2 phases are important because you can really target power naps in these 2 phases, and that's what I talked about in that video on power nap. So if you can just keep yourself away from getting into deep sleep of 3rd phase and 4th phase, you can wake up and feel fresh. But once you get into deep sleep, then rapid eye movement, that is REM, starts to happen, and your body starts to get into paralysis because you are really getting into unconscious world, and you are going to be doing crazy stuff in your sleep. Like, I don't know what you like to do in your dreams, but you don't really want to do it in real life. So your body is going to go paralyzed and it's not going to be able to move. It is super bad to wake up in those phases, in 3rd and 4th phases, because your body really wants to just stay asleep at that point. So more about that later. But if you don't get into 3rd and the 4th phase and you wake up in, let us say, 20-30 minutes, then what you have executed is what we call a power nap. So you are going to feel fresh. It kind of gave you recovery. It did help your memory to settle down. And the best part to a lot of you guys would be that I only slept for 30 minutes, and that was quick. And beyond that, the fact that you are very fresh now, right? So that is where we focus on power naps. So if you want to attack on power nap, I want to only sleep quickly somewhere in the middle of the day. A lot of us feel drowsy. It is much better to sleep for just 20 minutes than to sleep for, let us say, 1.5 hours. So you can use power naps for that. I've talked about that in detail. Not going to repeat it over here. Maybe I'm going to make another video because I was horrible in the last one. But anyways, coming to the 3rd and the 4th phase. Now, 3rd and the 4th phase are the phases in which you start to get into the rapid eye movement. Rapid eye movement is that creepy eye movement. I'm not even going to try to do it right now to the video version people, but your eyes move from left to right. That is probably the reason why our eyelids are shut during the night. Otherwise, other people who are awake are going to creep out. So your eyes are moving at a rapid motion. And that is why just lying on bed and closing your eyes is not equal to having a sound sleep. That is a sound sleep, REM sleep, where you are deep into the unconscious world. And that's where your body recovers, your fatigue goes away. And that is why people who are not able to sleep, or people who don't sleep, are tired all the time. They don't recover. Okay, so that is the third phase, and the fourth phase will be very similar to that, only deeper into the REM sleep, and also better in when it comes to recovery, and worse if you wake up at that point. And that is what I want to focus on, this close to approximately 1.5 hour of cycle. You never want to wake up in the third phase or the fourth phase. And that is the reason why sometimes you are sleeping and all of a sudden someone blew an alarm or woke you up, pushed you or something, some bomb blast happened or something like that. Unfortunately, you have to wake up. If you wake up at the third phase or the fourth phase, then you feel awful. You feel like you can just go back to sleep again. And we have all been in those situations where, let us say, we have slept for 6 hours and we feel fine, and then again we slept for 7 hours or 9 hours and we still feel sleepy after we wake up. And the reason is that improper placement of where you wake up. Now if you sleep without any alarm, all right, with no disturbance, no one to wake you up, then you are obviously going to wake up at the end of the fourth phase of a particular cycle, because naturally your body will wake up. That is a perfect way to wake up, by the way, not affordable by a lot of us, but that is a good way to wake up. But if you wake up somewhere in the middle or you are setting an alarm, you should always pay attention to these cycles. So let's just look at those 90-minute cycle and multiply it with few numbers. So 1.5 multiplied by 2 will be 3 hours. So nobody will be feeling amazing after waking up after 3 hours of sleep, but it is still better than waking up after 4 hours, the golden number thrown on YouTube again and again. So 4 hours basically means 2 full cycles, 90 plus 90 minutes, and then 1 hour in the third cycle. That means that you are in a third or fourth phase of your of your sleep cycle. That is, you are in your deep REM sleep. It's the worst time to wake up. I do not know where did they come with that number. A 4.5 hour would be a better number, but it's just like, I think that it makes a better clickbait, so they are just calling it out. So these are the things that you should pay attention. That is why 6 hours is a good number, because you have completed 4 full sleep cycles. 1.5, 1.5, 3 hours, then 1.5, 4.5, and then 1.5 you have done 6 hours. Okay, and that is why 7.5 hour would be better than 7 hours of sleep, and 7.5 hours sleep would even be better than 8 hours. Now don't get me wrong, these are not fixed. Like, every human being on the face of the planet at every night will be completing every cycle at 90 minutes. Obviously, human beings' body does not work like that, and there are some tolerance shift. These are the thing, all the things that happens. So that's why snooze button was made. All right, so sometimes you just don't want to wake up exactly at that point, and nobody can predict exactly when your cycles will be done or when you're exiting the cycle. So you can snooze it out and wake up after, let us say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but when you wake up you'll feel much fresh. But I think it is kind of obvious that you should time it kind of close to that, like kind of close to either 4.5 in the worst case scenario, 6 hours, 7.5, close to that you should schedule it. Then you will be completing sleep cycles properly, and you will not be waking in the middle of a REM sleep. So think about it like a rainbow. Now, rainbow does not shift one color to another color in a very discrete fashion. It kind of fades away to the next color. In a similar manner, your sleep cycle phases also fades away from first cycle to the second cycle to the third cycle, fourth cycle to the outside of that. And there you can wake up. If you don't, then you are again going to get to the first cycle. So these are the things that you should keep in your mind when you are thinking of pulling out a short sleep, or you're thinking of having a sound morning the next morning. So keep that in your mind. Now, after you have understood what is sleep cycle all about, you should also understand this one particular thing, and I learned this by listening to Human Man Lab podcast itself. What he said is that a lot of people think that our body works in a way that I'm going to press a button of sleep and then I'm going to let it sleep for 8 hours, and I can do that at any point of my life. Any point throughout the day. Okay, obviously covering your entire life. But this does not actually work like that. And that brings me to the next topic of discussion, that is circadian rhythm. Now, circadian rhythm, what it is, you can just think about it like a clock inbuilt in your body. And this is hugely impacted by the sun itself, because only recently we use electricity and lights and everything, and we have a different kind of life. But human beings have been developing for 3000 years, and majority of that part of how our genetics were built and how our biological system was built was mainly because of the cycle of the sun. So we usually used to wake up back in the hunting days when the sun was rising. We used to hunt animals and then go to sleep before the sun was down, and maybe get into the cave or something, because at night you won't be able to see anything. So your body is already trained down to your genetics and DNA to wake up with the sunrise and go to sleep with the sunset. But we don't do it these days, and these days obviously it is super awesome to stay awake all night. Not only these days, like I've done it myself, and if I would be given a choice that which one would you choose, I will always choose to stay awake my entire night and have fun. It is so quiet, it's like world is yours and you can do whatever you want. But and also what happens is that I want to do this also, this also, this also. People don't want to carry it to the next day. And there's an old saying in the engineering domain, students domain, that it is much easier to go to what was it, it is much easier to go to sleep at 6 o'clock than to wake up at 6 o'clock. So that I completely agree with. And it's not like I was always like this, going to sleep on time and trying to wake up early in the morning. Till I was 18 years old, I was always going to sleep at 3 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock at night, and then wake up somewhere around like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, go to school, and then come back, maybe go to sleep again, or maybe sleep in class. That is more preferable. But I was like that, but I chose to change it. Back then, I was not knowing about circadian rhythm or the sleep cycle or all these things, but I chose to change it mainly because I wanted to work out in college, and it was much easier to work out early in the morning. And I was from martial art background, so I don't want people to see me throwing kicks, because I thought that I would look like a creep, or at least be a spectacle over there. So I wanted to wake up early in the morning, find a place, and early in the morning nobody will be there, do my workout. And also obviously working out early in the morning was healthier than working out late at night. That I knew. About that also I can talk later part of this podcast, why the timing is so important. So I automatically changed my schedule from sleeping at 4 o'clock and then having this weird kind of schedule which is super unhealthy for your body, to sleeping at 11 o'clock and waking up at 6 o'clock. I really did that in less than few months, because I felt the need in that, right? And also the library was open throughout the day and it was not open at night. So I believe that I'm going to wake up, go to the library, study over there. Library is going to close at 8 o'clock, and very close to that I'm going to fall asleep as well, which is super opposite to what most of the people do in their colleges. But I did it because I was not in that good college, and I knew that I have to work very hard for 4 years to get a good job or something like that. So I decided to make my schedule like that. Fortunately, my roommate also believed in the same things. He was also in sports, so we did it kind of, so it was helpful. But I know that you can change it. That's above anything else. Anyone can change it, and the only way to change it would be gradually go towards it. Maybe now you're sleeping at 2 o'clock, then try tomorrow at 1:30 a.m., and maybe 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, like that. Slowly and smoothly you can transition into that. Or if you want to do abruptly, then what I always do is that, okay, I'm having habit of sleeping at 4 o'clock at night, and next morning I'm going to wake up at 8 o'clock. Now I only had 4 hours of sleep, which is very unhealthy but not that bad for one night. Now I'm going to feel sleepy throughout the day, but I'm not going to sleep, and I'm going to sleep early that night. So that is the instantaneous way of changing your sleep cycle. That is one thing that you can follow, or you can obviously do gradually. But when it comes to gradually, you have to understand that you should not slip out. So let us say 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you're gradually shifting it. and you have gotten to, like, let us say 12 o'clock, and one day you think, let us just stay awake till 4 o'clock, you have again gotten back to the same one. So you cannot slip when you're doing gradually, and once you have done that, stick to it. It is the most difficult thing I would say, especially in the college life. If you are staying in hostel or anything like that, or PGs and all, it is the most difficult thing to sleep on time, because there will be a lot of disturbances, and it is much easier to sleep at 4 o'clock at night. Is most likely you will be the last one to go to sleep. Other than that, you are super tired, you're already sleepy for a long duration, so you don't really know if you're going to be that sleepy at 11 o'clock or not. But definitely at 4 o'clock everybody is sleepy, or at some point or the other you are going to fall asleep, so it's not that big of a problem, but still it is always beneficial. Now, coming back to the circadian rhythm, so let us say you have a question that, Ashish, if I sleep at 3 o'clock at night, 3 a.m., and then I wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning, I don't really have to go to work, my work starts at 12 o'clock at noon, so I can wake up at 11 o'clock. So I've had 8 hours of sleep. Is it same as going to bed at 11 o'clock and waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning? The answer is no, because like I said, it does not work like a button that you press it and okay, cycle 1, phase 1, 2, 3, 4, cycle 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It does not work like that. If you go to sleep at 3 o'clock, you're directly going to jump into the third phase of a particular cycle. And because your circadian rhythm is trained to wake up with the sunrise, you are not going to have that good of a quality of sleep past like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, not to mention that the disturbance around or some sound or the other in most of the places will start to emerge, and your sleep will not be that sound. So not having a sound sleep directly means that you are not having as good of a health as you can, or as good of a learning as you can, or as good of a development of your body itself, physical development, as you can have. All right, so sleep is directly connected to your health, and above all, it is connected to your immune system itself, man. So we all know what is going on, and we all know what is the importance of your immune system at a point like this. So you have to take care of it, and the fact that people are not talking about it all the time is mind-boggling. And people don't care about sleep. I know that everyone has compromised with their sleep, and everyone, whenever they are having some lags, they have to complete this work, they are lagging behind when it comes to their studies or work, or they have to complete this and that Excel sheet, email, those people, they are always going to choose to not sleep for 1 hour extra or something like that to do their work, which is terrible in the long term. Okay. All right. So maybe a lot of you guys are in your teens and your 20s. I myself am in my 20s. But as you grow older and older, it is going to really take its toll. And over time, it is going to be extremely difficult for you to get back, because as you get older, your that elasticity of getting back to a good health also changes. And is again amazingly bizarre that we don't really talk about our health in our 20s, which is the most important thing. Your health in your 20s and your 30s is going to decide how you're going to be in your 60s, your 70s, your 80s. How well are you going to carry on if you're already ruining your body in your teens and your 20s? Then obviously you understand it is going to be much more difficult. So right now, if you eat a lot of burger, it's okay. You go run a lot, work out a lot, your body is going to come back to its original good form. But it's not the same when you grow older and older. And I honestly saw a clear distinction the point that I crossed the 25 years mark. Honestly, I'm saying it to you, it becomes little bit difficult, and I've heard that becomes a little bit more difficult when you cross 30, which I'm going to do in like 2 years, and then it becomes much more difficult when you cross 40. All right, so you have to take care of that. And people who are ruining their bodies in their early life, I would say that it's a great tragedy. See, I'm not saying that don't work hard, or you should not push towards your passion, you should not exert yourself. It's all good. but do it in the time when you are not sleeping, and don't compromise with your sleep, because nothing in this world is free. You cannot buy extra time by sacrificing sleep. In that, you are sacrificing your health as well, and over time that is going to also cost you at some point or the other. It will cost you in terms of health, it will cost you in terms of mental stability, it will cost you in terms of efficiency. It is going to cost you. Nothing is free, so don't compromise that. A lot of people think that 1/3 of your life you're sleeping anyways, what kind of life did you live? Those are the stupid things that I hear all every now and then. Bro, you have like 24 hours a day, 8 hours if you're going to sleep, 1/3 of your life you're sleeping only. See, that is how your body is made. What can you do? So stop eating also in that case. So people don't understand this simple part of science. We are all results of genetics, right? And evolution. So it's basically, in the simplest form, survival of the fittest. So if a person is doing few things correctly, you are fitter than the other, you are going to survive. Don't you think that it is bizarre in that case if you think that the person who sleeps less is more productive and is going to gain more? But still, when you look at human beings or any animal in general, everybody sleeps, correct? So humans also, naturally, they have to sleep. So that is in our genetics. That is the one part or set of genetics that were selected because that was better. So the ones who did sleep properly and soundly, they are the ones who survived. So sometimes it is important for you to lay back, recover, recharge. And then whatever time you are putting in, that should be done efficiently. All right. So sleeping for those reasons are extremely important. And I know what these motivational videos are pushing around, a lot of people with full energy shouting at you that this is what you should be doing, 4 hours of sleep. See, I completely agree with the fact that there are few people who work perfectly fine with only 4 hours of sleep. And like I said, it depends from person to person, and it might also depend from one day to another. But there are certain people who can do it, but they are extremely rare. They are extremely rare. And that is the reason that in one point of my life, I did try to find out whether I'm one of those or not. And 1 month I found out that I'm not. So if you're feeling extremely terrible after 1 month of doing it as well, and you're feeling drowsy, you're feeling that you're going to throw up, you're feeling that you are in a dream or something continuously throughout the day, whatever you're studying or reading or trying to learn, you're not able to grasp it, then that's not your cup of tea. Please leave it. You have to sleep more. And nobody can say which is going to learn better or which is going to perform better in the long term. You will have to see it for yourself, but you have to do the best that you can. Matthew McConaughey, I don't remember his name properly, but the one guy who is the actor in Interstellar, he says that he sleeps for 9.5 hours every night. He's pretty successful. Pretty is a wrong word over there actually. So he sleeps for 9.5 hours. That is something that works for him. What worked for me ultimately after trying all the different kind of sleep, I found out that I perform the best with 6 hours of sleep. And I do it and I work perfectly fine. Honestly, if you ask me, Ashish, how much did you sleep last night? I'll say that I slept for 8.5 hours. Since the time I left ISRO till this date, when I'm not having a job, I've always slept for most of the time more than 8 hours. Every now and then I have some work and I have to cut it down. But that is like one day out of 1 month or so. But if I have to choose, I'm going to choose to sleep more only. First of all, because it is awesome. All right, sleeping more is amazing. If you can sleep more, please do. Other than that, I feel fresh. So rest of the life that I'm having throughout the day, it is good for me. So I prefer that. And it is difficult for me to wake up after 6.5 hours or 6 hours, but I still find myself to be functioning perfectly. So if I'm having a lot of work on a particular day, I'll wake up after 6 hours. If I don't, then I'm going to wake up after 8 hours. So more is always better for me. But I've functioned perfectly with 6 hours of sleep, and that is what I've done for 3 years. For 3 years, I've slept for 6 hours, and I did fine. There was absolutely no problem, no mental delusion. I was not seeing any hallucinations. Don't you worry about that. Everything fine mentally as well. But for some of you guys, it just might be maybe 7 hours of sleep, or 7.5 hours of sleep, or 8 hours of sleep, or 9 hours of sleep. So you find out for yourself, and you have to keep in your mind the amount of work that you have to do as well. Just like I said, I prefer 8 hours of sleep, and I function perfectly after 8 hours of sleep also, and 6 hours of sleep also. But if I don't have that much work, I'll prefer to sleep for 8 hours. So you'll have to find out what is best for you. If you think that you function perfectly fine after 4 hours of sleep, do it. See what is the result, and if you don't feel good, stop doing it immediately. Please do not drag it. I think that even 1 month of trying only 4 hours of sleep when it is not fit for you can be dangerous. Like I said, a lot of young people have reported it to me down in the comment section and mailed it to me that they really did have to go to a doctor. They started having insomnia and all those things, which is terrible to have at such a young age. So keep this in your mind. This is not something to be played around with, joked around with. More you need, the more you take. It's as simple as that. Okay, now there are a lot of things that I wanted to talk about. I honestly wanted to cover the different kind of sleeps that I have pursued, but I think that this is sufficient for one day dose. I also wanted to talk about what should people do when they're having something like night shift. So keep these things in your mind. Those are the topics that I'm going to be discussing about in a sequel of this sleep kind of thing that we are doing on Momentum Podcast. And you can put your questions down in the comment section as well if you're on YouTube, and I can cover those questions in the upcoming sessions as well. Maybe some of you guys are having problems sleeping, or there's a lot of noise, which I've also been through. So for 4 years I've lived in a hostel with a roommate, and then beyond that for around 1 year I've lived in PG in Delhi, and after that also I've lived in a hostel only for 1 year in BRC training school. So I understand the problem that you might be facing when you don't have a private place, but you can put those things down in the comment section if you're having problems like that. If any other kind of problem regarding sleep, you can also put it down in the comment section, and we are going to be covering in a sequel of this sleep special Momentum Podcast. I hope that you liked it, guys. Leave your comments down in the comment section. Give it a like, subscribe. If you're on Spotify, you can follow it. Apple Podcast, give us a good review, do the goodies. I hope that it helped. That's about it. See you next time. Till then, bye.